Let's move
Absolutely,
on to Chan.
It was befitting.
It was befitting,
for what
yeah.
Cedric achieved and accomplished for sport, yeah.
Yeah, let's move on to the Chan. We have the kickoff is just a couple of months away.
Yeah, kickoff is August 2nd. Nothing has changed about it. This week, there was a meeting involving the 3 host countries, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. It was in Nairobi, involving all the 3 sports ministers, all the 3 federation heads, and all the secretariats of the 3 countries to iron out the nitty-gritties of the tournament ahead of kickoff. I do know that I think 2 weeks ago, the CAF vice president, who is also the CAF the chairperson of Chan, he was in the country where they did site visits for all the stadiums,
and the training grounds,
and the training grounds, and even the hotels,
yes,
to make sure that they tick all the boxes. I'm happy to see what Wankuluku looks like, Mark. Wankuluku used to be was in limbo for a very, very long time. Today, Wankuluku looks like a sports complex of sorts. I mean, you have very clean toilets, the turf is improved, you have floodlights. The place has got a facelift. And, and for me, these are some of the legacy benefits of hosting events of this nature. Yes. Because Wankuluku will forever look the way it is, or even better. It will never go back to the set in which it was in.
No, Mike, imagine there. I'm a guy who grew up in Najana Nkombi and supported Express FC. So Wankuluku for me was like a home ground because all I needed to do was to walk down from Stella through Kaboa. And I'd been Wankuluku. I never ever drove there. I never rode a border. Those, I mean, in my world, there were no cars at that point when I was growing up in the 80s. And Express used it as a home. So I watched it through all those years. Wankuluku with a terrible pavilion for a stand. In fact, that pavilion even came later. It was terrible stands, the worst changing rooms in history, and a totally underutilized piece of sporting real estate.
Yeah, because they had the land. Wankuluku had the land.
Yeah, even the perimeter fencing, was huge, the perimeter fencing outside, as well as that around the pitch. Those things only came after one terrible battle between SC Villa and Express, in which even Moses Sali, who was sports minister at the time, was squeezing under a bench.
97. The famous Bauto controversy.
Those controversies. They cancelled the story of that Philip Obwinyi goal. Yeah. But anyway, never mind. So to see it looking like this now, to see Chambogo looking like that and all, I agree with you, his legacy.
To see Kadiba, hosting the Uganda Cup final. Right now, you have, the infrastructure in the country certainly is in a better state than it was before Chan. And then, obviously, Nambole is good to go.
Oh, yeah.
Nambole is good to go. Yeah. And the reports I'm gathering is that Nambole could even be in contention to, who knows, host the final, wait and see.
Yeah, Max, I was there last week for training for security and safety.
Yeah.
By CAF instructors. They were down here, Dr. Christian and Zakaria, to train police and the guys in charge of security on the FUFA and LOC side.
Yes.
And then also 1 or 2 subcommittees were incorporated. That's why I represented the Spectator and Fan Committee.
Yeah.
And looking at Nambole, I was looking at it, I'd only been there a month earlier to watch Uganda versus Guinea and everything. But looking at it when it was empty, when I'd gone for the training and all, the things that went through my mind about the transformation of that stadium were like, this is a spectacle.
Yeah.
The guy
97 billion shillings is not pocket change.
Absolutely. Yeah. The guy I went with hadn't even been there for the Guinea match and other things. He was just helping me out with 1 or 2 things I was doing. And so he was stepping into it for the first time in a longish time. I think he hadn't been there since before COVID. And he was in amazement. So when you say that it could be in contention to even host a final, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
That's how good it has become. But and attending that security and safety workshop with the CAF guys and all, I learned so many things, of course, about. I've always been, Mark, somebody who has been, like you, been around stadiums in the world, bigger stadiums, better stadiums and everything. I've had these experiences of everything they talk about, accreditation, restricted zones and everything that you walk into and all, and matches. But I was always on the side of looking for journalistic angles, coverage, or looking for fans' experience as somebody who's going to enjoy it and things like that. If like when we are to travel together and everything, when you listen to the guys from security and safety, they give you a totally different perspective to match day.
Yeah.
And the things that have got to be done so that people enjoy like that
Yes.
used to.
Oh,
and,
yes.
without even thinking
Oh, yes.
about their safety.
Oh, yes.
To keep people alive, they start from that angle. Which is, for me, I start from an angle of having fun and
Yes.
experience. And they start from an angle of keeping people alive because they take it that seriously.
Yes.
We've not had big stadium tragedies in Uganda, but they've been in Africa. The biggest ones have been in Europe, the ones which led to all the changes in safety and security.
Yeah.
Most of them, by the way.
I mean, we've had some terrible ones in Africa. There was
Yes.
the one which killed over 100 people at Ellis Park a couple of years ago.
Yes, in
And
South Africa.
South Africa. Then there was one in Ghana, Asante Kotoko and Hearts of Oak, also a couple of years ago. The most recent one, I think, was last year, which was in, which country? Guinea?
Guinea, yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's been another one in Congo as well.
Yeah, another in
There was
Congo as
another
well.
one
Yeah.
in Congo earlier.
And listen,
But this one, Guinea, yeah.
there's nothing which is as devastating as life because you cannot substitute life for anything.
Yeah.
So it is very, very important that, I mean, stadium security and safety is actually the most important, I could argue, of all the should I say, committees and
Yes,
and the emphasis
on that.
you can get everything wrong, but not safety.
Yeah. And I liked back the fact that FUFA have been working with police and stadium management, say of Nambole, with Haji Jamil Sawanyana and all for a long time. So they're used to these things.
Yeah.
But to see, and now that the police was of course incorporated on lock because of that.
Yeah.
To see these guys talking about their experiences before and how CAF standards are different and the things they have to do differently now and all, for me was a very good thing, a welcome thing to see how they were going to work in tandem, already working in tandem and everything. But I was also, I'll tell you, now when I look at Dixon Okello or Haji Sekabira or Humphrey Mande from FUFA and all, I'm looking
Or Jamil Sawanyana himself.
I'm looking at them in a different light now because this is things that I've been going through. They're also CAF instructors,
Yes.
because they've been at it and done for a long time.
Yeah.
So I look at them differently now. I'm taking them more seriously, the importance of what they do.
Yeah, than you did before that
Then
meeting.
before this whole workshop. But yeah, in essence, General Mark, I think Sean, I think we are set as far as the facilities are concerned.
Yeah.
And you talked about the hotels because I remember, I think after that CAF visit, it was announced that Serena, the Sheraton, and then 4 Points at Sheraton would be the official CAF hotels here.
Yeah.
That's high standard. And I thought we have a few more if they needed more. I believe, and all of them in the same area,
Yeah.
I believe can all work.
Yeah, but of course, the media, just about each and every other Ugandan can cash in on the Chan and Pamoja bonanza, if I may call it that way, because if you have your Airbnb, obviously there are fans. Not all fans are going to be staying at 4 Points and the Sheraton and the Serena. If you have your Airbnb, there are people like when we travel. When we went to Gabon, we had an Airbnb and with a couple of other Ugandan journalists and worked for us. Even when we went to the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, we had an Airbnb.
Yeah.
So
those are many. Those are many. And Chan being a Kampala affair, because when AFCON comes in 2027, it will spread around the country. So we'll have to be doing Hoima and perhaps Lira and everything.
Yeah.
But Chan being a Kampala affair, those B&Bs are many.
Yeah.
And like I say, even hotels for the other people,
Yeah.
just within the same vicinity.
Yes.
I mean, outside of those three that are official CAF designated, you still have running period there. You have Speak, you have Golden Tulip, you have Protea there, both Skies and the one in Kololo. You have got say what? You've got a normal within the same vicinity. You've got you've got Fairway. They're all over the place. They're all over. So we do have those, and then you come further down to the until you get to the B&Bs. There are many. But so I believe, Mark, what is left is now, after all those things have been put in place, is for your committee and my committee to now then take the hype to the rest of the country.
Yeah,
which is what we intend to do. I know that you guys have a plan in place for a lot of things. I know that on our side we've got a trophy tour. It will help to boost the awareness about this. About the tournament across the country, because we intend to do that across the country, all through Kampala and Wakiso and Entebbe, and then across the country, and then several other, and then fun parks and things like that. So I think, while it looks like we might have left it late, I think that eventually by kickoff day, if all Ugandans will be sold.
So for the football,
they will be sold.
For the football mad Ugandans, CHAN kicks off on August 2nd and ends on August 31st. It will be played in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And you don't have to be just a football mad Ugandan. You could be someone who either loves sport or just wants to be part of history, because it's never happened before. And believe in me, you don't want to be left out on a legacy tournament which is going to be hosted.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and in terms of the economics, you've talked about this on different episodes before, Mark.
Yeah,
everybody can cash in. There's because when you have an influx of sports tourists like the ones we expect, both the official, the teams, and then down to the fans and all.
If you have a bar, if you have a restaurant, if you have a pub, if you have, if
you have goodies to sell, if you've got accommodation, if you're in the transport business, whether you have big buses or just a border, everybody's going to be working. And then, of course, the tourists, because these guys are going to, our visitors are going to learn about how much Uganda has to offer. Because believe me, they might have had a few things, but they don't know. They don't know. You don't know Uganda until you actually experience it. So,
this is the best country in the world.
Yeah, it's good that Peter Gwang joined the other sports ministers and that meeting you're talking about. And they're talking about a Pamoja visa.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking forward to that, because once you ease travel for our visitors, if they can come in with very few encumbrances, I think they will flock here, and then they will get used to the idea of coming to Uganda.
And Mark, there's something else I've got.
East Africa.
There's something else I've got to say in black and white.
Yeah.
We've been privileged enough to visit other African countries, but none of them is like Uganda.
No. I've been all over the continent, thank God.
Yeah, none of them is like Uganda.
No. In fact, when the West Africans come here,
they might want to stay. They may want to stay.
Several of them. We already have big communities, say, from Nigeria. We have a big community from Nigeria and Uganda. Not so many of the others. But when those guys come here and stay here for a month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever it is,
they may not want to leave.
Some will stay and wait for AFCON, if you like, for 2027. There you go, Mark. Let's leave CHAN at that. But before we leave football, quickly, Vipers and the double.
Well, Vipers proved that they're the best team in the land. You don't win the league by mistake. The Uganda Cup, you can win the Uganda Cup despite not being the best team in the land, but they basically removed all those doubts by winning the double. They beat KCA 2-0, first ever game played at Kadiba Stadium. It was a packed stadium, and I think it will be, like I said, an additional plus for a big plus for the football infrastructure in the country. KCA had their spells in the game. Clearly, Nelly Magera has done a good job in terms of building the team to play in the way KCC wants to play. But Vipers got another goal from Livingston Molondo after a defensive howler by the KCC goalkeeper Mugolofa. And from then on, Mark, cup finals, when a team takes the lead, the cup finals are decided on small things. So KCC tried to press, and actually they could have actually gotten a goal back, because Ashraf Mugube struck a thunderbolt. He used all his might, and he packed a belter, but it crashed off the woodback and came back. Had it gone in, maybe the final would have been different.
Turned out differently, yeah.
So, but Vipers, of course, are the more experienced team. They are used to winning, and they've got some guys who've experienced the big stage. People like Sentamu, who strike a beauty for the second goal with 5 minutes to play. They've got guys like
Newton Carissa.
They're very experienced players. Alan Okero, Mukundane, Nicholas Wadada. Turach had a very, very good game and defense. Vipers.
Watambala in the middle. These guys have played. They play together.
Yeah.
And Vipers for
so, it's been a big season for them. And listen, credit to Vipers, because after they sacked Kazarovic, the guy who eventually took them to the Court of Arbitration of Sport. No, it wasn't him actually who took them to CAS. But they went back and regrouped, stuck to coaches, Mumza and Luinda, and they've been with them. Apparently, they are both at the same level. They are both coaches. No one is above the other. And it's worked wonders for them, which is quite odd because Lawrence Mulindwa is not known for being patient. But I think he entrusted them, gave them the confidence, and they delivered the goods. Having given them 200 million shillings for winning the league, I believe him, he's going to give them, I think, a couple of...
Yeah, because he gave them 200. He had given them 50 by the end of the first round, 50 million. So he gave them another 200. I think he just topped up on...
my sources tell me that he's going to give them an extra 100 for winning the Uganda Cup.
Yeah, he had talked of 50, so it might be 100. Yeah, I mean, in that excitement, I believe he will. So, and he's dipped into his pockets big time and kept these guys motivated.
I mean, and right now, Vipers, they've won, they've become a Salongo for the second time in history. So when you talk about Salongos, it used to be a prison for SC Villa. But
it was just an SC Villa. The Ghana football, because KCC and Express tried and failed over long periods, even their best times. But eventually, they did.
They became Salongos. But
Express
now
in '95 and KCC have done it in recent
so now
times as well.
Vipers are the fully certified Salongos of Ugandan football, and they'll be representing Uganda in the CAF Champions League next year, while NEC will be representing Uganda in the Confederations Cup.
That is the challenge now. Vipers have got to make a statement on the continent, which they still haven't in their years of dominance. Yeah, but it takes time. Yeah,
and we don't know. We wait and see. We don't know if he's going to stick with the two coaches. Let's wait and see. Because they've proven themselves on the domestic scene. Can they prove themselves on the African continent?
He has not been a firm believer in the abilities of domestic coaches in the past, Lawrence Mulindwa, but like you said, he's now bidding his time with these guys. Hopefully, he will allow them to take the team to the continent. So that's Vipers for you, Mark.